And we're live. Morning, everyone. Today's Tuesday, 7th of May, 20 past 9, more or less. And I have with me, as always, Tabitha. Tabitha wasn't available for a few meetings, but so awesome to have you back here, Tabitha. Excited to have you with us this morning. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. I missed you guys. It's been a tough year, unfortunately. My mom had to go for brain surgery, so it was a bit tough on our side, but I'm definitely glad to be back here supporting the ladies.
Oh, we're struggling with your sound, Tabitha. I don't know if you have a call coming in or something happening there. But
There.
Tabitha,
Sorry, my
oh,
daughter's trying to call me. My daughter's desperately trying to call me. It'll always be, when you have something on that, the kids will try to get hold of you. Sorry about that. So I don't know what the audience heard. I just said I'm really glad to be back. Unfortunately, my mom had brain surgery done, so I just took a bit of time because she's staying with us. So I'm really glad to be back. And this morning was a phenomenal session as always, and just learned so much again. And really glad to be back.
what stood out for you most in this morning's meeting, Tabitha?
Sure, I think you know what for me it was. There were two incredible ladies who were just sharing with us this morning, and the one lady was just saying, that she's growing, and her husband had a great conversation over the weekend, just where she was saying, I'm growing, and I want you to grow with me, and where are you at? And he was sort of like, no, like I don't want to grow, and I don't want to do this. And this woman, in particular, we've been walking the journey with, and she's so talented, and she's such a beautiful woman. And just to hear her say that this morning, 3 months ago, she was at a place where she was just like, this is so hard. I don't want to do this. I don't want to work on these things. It's just hard. And you're scratching open all these terrible things. And like today, she's just saying, I'm telling my husband I'm growing and I want him to go with me. And, she was just mentioning, that when he left, he was a bit emotional, and she was just wondering, was he trying to manipulate me, or, because he's not an emotional guy. And I think my biggest takeaway this morning was just, us as women in our recovery, and as our husbands are recovering or not recovering, is just to, check our expectations, and I think something so valuable that she shared with us this morning, Kenneth, was that she was saying, you know what, I didn't say he was doing something wrong. I really was considerate about his past and his traumas as a child. And I was trying to really, she was really thinking, and I was just like, how amazing is it? Like, she didn't want to hurt him in saying, I'm growing. She didn't want to say, like, I'm going without you. This is, you don't want to do anything. She was so thoughtful in her process, if I can put it that way. And that for me was just like, I think sometimes, especially when we've been hurt, in the situations that our ladies find themselves where their husbands have an addiction problem with porn or sex, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of uncertainty, and just for me this morning, it was just for me the way she's grown in such a short time, doing the program with the other ladies, is that she was thoughtful. She thought of his emotions. She thought of where she was. She thought of where he was at. And she was like, I didn't want him to feel bad at the end of the conversation. I was just saying to him, I'm going somewhere. Are you going to come with me or not, And it was just, it was mind-blowing, Kenneth. Like, in 3 months, what you're able to achieve if you really throw yourself into your recovery, if you throw yourself into saying, I want to make this about me, because when you make it about yourself and you start doing introspection, you start working on you, you don't really have time to be angry with him anymore, right? You don't have time to be like, you don't want to do this. It's about me and my growth. And that's what this is all about. The reason we come to this podcast every week is that you are enough, you are worthy. And this morning was just like, it just hit my heart that, what we are doing and how we're supporting the ladies, that is resonating with them. So I don't know what you took away, but it was wow.
No, it was phenomenal. The biggest thing that hit me was how she intentionally tried to be a safe space. And you're right.
Yes.
It is about each person, and that you are enough, and that you are worthy, and that you are valued. But something that came through for me in this meeting was that I'm doing this journey for myself, but not only for myself, not exclusively for myself, not for
Yes.
myself at the cost of who you are and who we are supposed to be together. I'm doing this journey
Mm,
because I want us to be better. I
mm,
want to be the best version of myself for you. I want to give myself to you more, so
mm.
come grow with me. Yeah, come join me in this process, and it doesn't have to be a
Yeah.
Grace Online process. It can be process anyway. Grace Online would be great. We are the best option. There's nothing like Grace Online outside there.
Mm,
This is a movement of men journeying together with each other in truth and honesty and rawness of emotions. And then we inject the voices of the ladies, of the wives, into this phenomenal process, enhancing and enriching the recovery experience for the men. In this journey, women have a voice, and we value their
yeah.
voices. We want them to speak and to share. And I think that's what she discovered, Tabitha. That's something that she discovered. It's like, I have value here. I am important. I can consider his situation, and I can think about what is it that he's gone through in his life, and approach it sensitively, not with blame. She said this morning, I laid blame aside. I didn't blame him. I didn't try and
Yeah.
fight with him. I just wanted to hear his
Mm,
point of view. And then what happened? She's seen him cry 3 times in his entire life. On their wedding day,
yeah.
what was the second one
When they
was
were going
like
to get
during
divorced, when they were getting
the
divorced.
a divorce process, and then like Sunday the third time she saw him crying,
Mm,
like, and then she's like, is he manipulating me? I'm like, I don't think so. I think something, you really worked hard on yourself not to be
mm,
offensive, not to be
yes.
sensitive in this process. And then he gave you this big hug, and he had tears in his eyes were filled with tears. I think you really touched
Mm.
his heart. Yeah. What do you think? That's
Yeah, and
crazy.
I think also obviously what I just want to encourage the ladies with today is that, at some point you have to let the past go. And I think that that's what this particular lady was also saying this morning, that she wasn't doing things the way she did it in the past. She's doing things differently. And I think what you were saying, Kenneth, is that, she's doing this because she's fighting for her marriage, and that I think is a decision at some stage that the ladies have to make. If you're going to keep on looking back and you're going to keep on throwing the past, you're never going to move forward. You're never going to move forward. And what this lady did is she was saying, I always did this in the past. I never considered his reaction. I never considered, I would just, dump however I was feeling on him. And she was so thoughtful in that process. And that even challenges me in my own relationship to be thoughtful in how I'm communicating to my spouse, because I have a choice. I can either do it the way I did it in the past, get angry and just, wabble a whole bunch of stuff and throw it in his court. And then what does the guy do with it, And I mean, a lot of times we're good at that as ladies, right? Yeah, in 1920, you did the following. In 1994, when
Oh
I
my
met
God.
you, you did this wrong. So it's about letting those things go and say, you know what, I don't just want to do this better for him, but I want to do this better for us. When we're talking to each other, we're able to work through the hard stuff and find a solution. It makes both of us end up better. He's able to communicate. I'm able to communicate. He's telling me how he's feeling. I'm saying how I'm feeling. I mean, there's no loss in this process. Everybody wins. And I mean, then it just filters down to our children and our relationships. And even one other lady said today, what I've learned here filters through into my relationships with my friends, with my family members. That's what you're getting. You're not just doing this for your marriage, you're doing this to be better in every aspect of your life. And that just for me is what the ultimate prize is at the end of the day, Kenneth, that, every day, like you said, you only live once. Live the best version, be in the best relationship, give it your everything, And I think that that's what this lady has walked away with, and that's what has inspired me today. So,
Mm.
yeah, it's just been phenomenal.
And while you're speaking, like, these words come to mind, and it's this: does God not want you to live your absolute best life right now? Does He not want you
100%.
to live your 100% best life right now? Jesus said, I came to give you life, and life in abundance. Let's grab
Mm,
hold of who Jesus is, and not allow our husbands or the work situation or challenges with family or kids or whatever difficulty you're facing. Don't allow that thing to tell you what is your best version? Let's rise above
Mm.
being our best. And then the other thing that comes to mind also is what that other English speaking lady said. She said, so usually in the past, I would attack him and I would blame him and he would just shut down, isolate and withdraw.
Yeah.
And she said, but now I want to rise up against my own default mode, which is attacking, blaming,
Yeah.
accusing him, because you are the source, you are the person that's hurt me. You hurt me, so I'm
Yes.
going to attack
Yeah,
you.
you deserve
But then
it.
she said,
Yeah.
but now she said she's like transcending herself and she's looking at her own behavior, her own desire to just attack, blame, accuse, put the blame on him. She's looking at herself and she's like, I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to respond to this hurt and this threat, this threat that's coming from the outside. I'm just going to fight against my own default so that I can change, so that I can be a safe space, so that I can be better, so that my husband will open up to me, so that we can be ultimately who we're supposed to be. And that was also a wonderful insight. You recall that moment?
Yeah, no, and you know what, Ken, that just reminds me, it's a silly thing, but just to end off on a bit of a lighter note, I remember coming home from school and then, you did bad in your test and whatever, and I would say to my dad, but everyone in the class did bad, and my dad would always turn to me and say, but I'm only responsible for you, Tabitha. I'm only responsible for how we're going to deal with this. And that just resonates with what you're saying with that lady today, because often we can say, oh, you know what, he deserved it. Everybody else is behaving this way. I know other people who, take their husbands out and put them in their place. But ultimately, we are only responsible for our own outcomes, right? So however you did in that exam is ultimately just yours. You can't fix 20 kids' exam papers, you know. You can only send me for extra lessons, and that just resonates with me this morning to say, just because everybody else is doing it, because everybody else is, bad mouthing their husbands at the tea and cake party with their friends, doesn't mean that we have to do it. We have to rise above those stigmas and say, you know what, I'm going to fight in my prayer room for my marriage. I'm going to fight in my prayer room for my relationship, because it's easy to say what he does wrong, right? But I just want to say that our words carry so much power, Kenneth, and what that lady was sharing today, where she was just saying, I am taking myself out and I'm challenging myself to be better. I'm not going to scream at him. I'm not going to behave that way, because where does that end up at the end of the day? So yeah, I just want to say, guys, we are only responsible for our behavior. We are only responsible for our reaction, and if that means that, we're going to be that community that says we're going to be doing things better. We're not going to just go crazy and say negative things, but we're going to be responsible for our words and how we action things, because we want to stand before God, like you were saying, Kenneth, and say, I've done my best. I gave it my best, but I was thoughtful in how I responded, and that's my challenge for the ladies today. Don't be like everybody else. Set yourself apart. Be who God created you to be. Be that woman that says, I'm rising above this. I'm going to be, and I'm going to be a woman who's proud of her words that are penetrating her husband, her children, her workplace. I want to be a carrier of words, of how I know that my words have an impact on other people. Be responsible this morning. Say, it doesn't matter if he deserves it. It doesn't matter if he was nice or not. I'm just going to take up my own bag this morning. I'm going to be responsible for that. And that's just what I'm walking away with today, that Tabitha, you're responsible for your behavior. You're responsible for your words and how you deal with situations. You can't be responsible how someone else responds. But how I respond will determine, how I feel at the end of the day about who I am and what I want to identify as.
Excellent, excellent. So lastly, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking at this video, I'd like you to take this number right now, send me a WhatsApp. If this spoke to you, if this resonates with you, if you're finding yourself in a challenging space where you've been hurt by somebody else's betrayal and you need support, then reach out for help right now. We are here. We would love to help you. This is our passion. This is our calling. There's nothing that we want to do more than support people through this entire process. So thanks for listening to us. I hope you have a phenomenal day further. Tabitha, any last words from you?
No, I just want to encourage the ladies, you know what? Jump on WhatsApp, Kenneth, keep him busy today. There's a wonderful community of ladies out there that want to support you, that want you to be encouraged to be who you are. So yeah, reach out, guys, even if it's not to us. Make today a turning point in your life to say, I don't want to live the way I was living this morning, or even an hour ago or a minute ago, because this life we've been given is so precious. So reach out and just do it. Just do it.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice day. Thanks, Tabitha. All the best with your
Thanks,
challenges.
Kenneth.
See you
Thanks.
soon.
Great
Cheers.
seeing you.